There are a lot of players in football that put a tremendous amount of effort but never get the credit they deserve. And that's why today, I want to pick one underrated player from every nation to build my World Cup team. And let's see the country we're going to start with, the Netherlands. Okay, underrated player from Netherlands. Of course, we're not going to go with options like VVD. He's widely regarded as one of the best centre-backs of the last generation. Even got on the Ballon d'Or podium back in 2019. The same can be said for Frenkie de Jong as well as Renders and Gravenberch. They're all playing for big clubs. They are very highly rated. The options I'm thinking of are like Denzel Dumfries. I know he's playing for Inter, but I think he's quite underrated. Every time I watch him in an international tournament, he looks really solid in that right back position. I don't see him getting the respect he deserves, but I think from Netherlands, gotta go with Somerville. Before this World Cup, he wasn't even called up for them, and then on his World Cup debut, he scored, looked really solid, and I think the fact that he played for a relegated West Ham, I won't be surprised if he gets a good move after the World Cup. I think I'm gonna go with him as my underrated player. He's only 76 rated, and that's got me thinking when we do our World Cup sim at the end, this underrated team is about to get cooked. Let's see what nation are we heading to next. Oh my days, it's France. This is going to be a tough one because I don't really feel like there's any player in that French team that's underrated. But there is one attacker that I've mentioned that probably deserves a bit more credit. Talking about Ryan Cherki. I've seen him play for Man City, and at his best, I think he's just as good as Olise. But I still feel like Cherki does not get the credit he deserves, not even the opportunity. But to be honest, I can't blame Deschamps. How do you fit Cherki into this team? Now, I can't complain about having Cherki and Somerville as my wingers. This team is coming together. Oh, next up is the joint hosts of the World Cup, America. These guys in the World Cup itself are pretty underrated. Nobody expected US to top their group like they have, and also probably play the best football in the entire tournament. Maybe we should be picking Pochettino, because I remember a couple of years ago in the Copa America, the US stunk up the pitch, got knocked out in the group stages. So now I feel like this entire team is underrated. Of course, we're not picking Pulisic, because he is not underrated. Sometimes I do feel like the Americans overrate him a little bit.
You know, we think of guys like Messi or Ronaldo, and this kid's already being compared to all of them.
What? What the f? Now, there are a couple of players I'm thinking of, one of them being Balogun. He's been terrific up top for the US. But there's another player I think that is super underrated, Serginho Dest. Now, don't get me wrong, he's gone from being overrated when he was at Barcelona and he couldn't hack it, but then he left, really built up his game in the Eredivisie, and now I feel like people have just forgotten about him. But when I watch him for the US, he actually looks really solid. And by the way, I had no idea he was 79 rated, not bad at all. But next up, we're moving on to Congo. Again, a team that's been recently getting a lot of plaudits for the way they performed against Portugal. And honestly, there was one player that really impressed me, Wissa. He plays for Newcastle in real life, but at Newcastle, I don't think he's been that good. But what I saw for Congo, man, this guy was everywhere, pressing like a madman, scored the header as well. Not gonna lie, EA does rate Wissa, man. 82 overall for him. Fair enough, that's got our attack looking really decent. And alright, let's speed things up with Japan. There is one Japanese player that I think completely fits the underrated tag. He plays for Sporting, Hidemasa Morita. He's 30 years old, and I'm sure you've probably never even heard of his name. But for the last couple of years, he's been the heart of that Sporting midfield, even putting in a proper shift against Arsenal in the Champions League. And there you go, we needed a midfielder in this team, and now we've got Morita. Ooh, next nation is Canada, who only recently got their first ever World Cup win. Now, they do have a few big names like Jonathan David as well as Alphonso Davies, but I don't think they're underrated. But I do think the man from Porto, Stephen Estaquio, I've probably butchered this guy's name, but when I watched him play, he basically felt like Canada's Morito, the guy who just provides the stability in midfield. Ooh, he's only 75 rated, so even EA don't really rate him all that much. But I do think on the pitch, this should be a really solid partnership between Estaquio and Morita. And looks like we now need to pick an underrated player from Switzerland. And this might be the first time we're going for a big name, because I think we have to go for Gregor Kobel. This man has been amazing for Dortmund for years now. Yet when you start having conversations with people about the best goalkeepers in the world, he'll probably not even be named in the top 10. And that's why I feel like he is a super underrated goalkeeper. And moving on, next we're going to Ecuador. A few years ago, I would say Pacho, or even Moises Caicedo back when he was at Brighton. But now, he's got the big money move to Chelsea. Everybody knows about him. Pacho is a multiple-time Champions League winner. But there is one Ecuadorian that I feel goes a bit unnoticed, and that's Joel Ordonez. Jimenez. I think it's probably because he plays in the Belgian league for Bruges, and he's a big part of that Ecuador defense along with Hincapia as well as Pacho. I feel like the team is coming together nicely, especially with Kobel and Ordonez getting in. And let's see which nation are we picking an underrated player from next. And oh, Colombia. You know what? I'm about to make a very controversial pick here, because I feel it's Luis Diaz who's the most underrated Colombian. You might think he's their best player, but yup, I still feel he's underrated. Even at Bayern Munich, all the conversation is about Harry Kane or Michael Olise, but trust me guys, Luis Diaz, he's a special player. Next up, we get Austria, and funnily enough, I think I'm going to be picking another Bayern Munich player in Konrad Laimer. I feel like if you look at that Bayern 11, from the outside, he probably feels like the weak link, because naturally, he's more of a midfielder, not really a right back, but honestly, when I watch him, he is so solid. Definitely fits the bill of being underrated for me. Oh, Germany is who we're picking from next. I was thinking maybe Florian Wirtz, because lately his reputation has tanked so much, but then I look at his performances, like come on, you still expect more from him. He is definitely not underrated. Pavlovic, I guess, is a good shout. Schlotterbeck as well, you never really hear his name all that much, I guess because he plays for Dortmund. But I'd say the player I want to go for is Kai Havertz. I don't know, every time I watch him in a big game, he seemingly scores. Yet despite that, I don't see people rating him all that much. I remember he had that one crazy season for Bayer Leverkusen. And I think, yeah, from Germany, my pick is going to be Havertz. I'm probably going to get rinsed for this in the comments. By the way, you guys can let me know for every nation which is your underrated player. It'll be interesting to go through that. But yeah, we've now picked 11 players for our team. 15 more to go. And next up, we gotta pick an underrated player from Sweden. It's definitely not gonna be Gyökeres or Isak. This one for me is between Ayari, who plays for Brighton, but he's coming alive at the World Cup now for Sweden. But then there's also Anthony Elanga, who I feel is more underrated because he doesn't start for them. Saying that, he's probably not gonna start for us because we've got Cherki ahead of him. Oh, we get Uruguay to pick from next. Can I call Ronald Araujo underrated? Nah, I feel like he would fall more into the overrated category. And that's coming from a Barca fan. Jimenez, I would say, is a good shout, you know, but because he plays for Atletico Madrid, doesn't really get all the plaudits. Ugarte is another good shout, but you know what, I'm gonna give this one to Jimenez. Oh, we now get a big one, and I feel like with England, there gonna be plenty of options we can go for. I'm wondering if players like Trent or Cole Palmer fall into this category, because even with all their talent, they were snubbed for the World Cup, but nah, I feel like they get their flowers, especially Trent, who's won a Champions League, widely regarded as the most talented right back of the last generation. Cole Palmer as well. Everybody knows how good he is. He just didn't fit Tuchel's system. Talking about Thomas Tuchel's system, a player that really fit well, Elliot Anderson. And sometimes when I watch him, I feel like he plays better than Declan Rice. I think I'll probably go for him as the underrated English player. And yo, Anderson and Jimenez are looking solid additions to this team. Oh, but next we're gonna have to go with Turkey. This is interesting, bro. I think I gotta put them as like the most overrated team at this World Cup. They played 2 games, lost both of them, and now they're going home. To be honest, guys, I kind of predicted them as the dark horses of this World Cup. That's completely fallen flat. I don't even know if there's an underrated player here because it seems like everyone's overrated. I think I'll go with Kadioglu for this one. Decent for Brighton. And to be honest, I don't think I can pick a single attacker from Turkey, especially after how horrendous they were in front of goal. Oh, we go to Mexico, another one of the host nations. I was thinking maybe Gilberto Mora, but nah, bro. They call him the Mexican Pedri. He is no way underrated. Guess we can go with Quinones. A lot of people think he's washed because he plays in the Saudi League, but I think he's an underrated goal threat. Just realized with our last 2 picks, we've now completed our first 11. Kadioglu slots in at left back. For an underrated team, boys, it is looking really solid. We're up to 16 picks now, 10 to go. And we've still got big nations left, exactly like Portugal. This one's interesting, bro, because if this was like 1 year ago, I'd probably say someone like Vitinha or João Neves. But now that they've won a couple of Champions Leagues, they are not underrated. They're getting the credit they deserve. Same with Bruno. He was like the best player in the Premier League last season. But a couple of players I can think of, Conceição, I think he's an electric winger and he's so good in 1v1 situations. But I would say for this Portuguese team, I have a controversial pick. I'ma go with João Felix. I know, this sounds crazy. He's playing in the Saudi League. That too at his age. But guys, whenever I watch him, he's still got the touch. He still links up play really well. And honestly, I don't know why he doesn't start for Portugal. And here's my hot take. I feel like Felix is going to get back into the Portugal team during this World Cup and then he'll secure a move back to Europe after, because he's just too good. We're picking him. Oh, but next up we get Senegal. They have a couple of players I think that are super underrated, like Diouf from West Ham, but someone even better is Lamine Camara, who plays for Monaco. I feel like the casual fans just don't know how good this guy is. I remember watching him in the AFCON and he was brilliant. I'll be honest, I don't follow him much at Monaco, but I'm pretty sure he's doing really well there. I think, yeah, we'll go with him. We can't go wrong picking a player that's named Lamine. Looks like it's an African theme right here, because next up we've got Ivory Coast. I feel like this one for me has to be Ousmane Diomande, and both these African players do improve the starting 11. Oh, we get a big nation to keep going, Norway. Now with Norway, everybody basically just talks about their attack with Haaland, Sorloth, Ødegaard supporting it, but I want to highlight Sander Berge, the Fulham man. He does the unglamorous engine job behind Ødegaard. Does deserve a bit of credit, so we'll pick him. Next up we have Egypt, and this one for me has got to be Omar Mamouche. Everybody with Egypt just talks about Mo Salah. I kind of want Mamouche to move to another club where he'll be given the leading role, because then I think everybody will see just how clinical he is. But yeah, for now we're definitely picking him from Egypt. Bro, we've still got the likes of Brazil, Argentina, and Spain. Are we gonna hit one of them now? Nope, instead it's Scotland. Obviously, when you think of Scotland, it's players like McTominay and Robbo that pop up, but they're not underrated. I will say Lewis Ferguson, he's Bologna's captain in Italy. Excellent box-to-box midfielder, has been solid in the Serie A. Let's go for him in that midfield. Looking at the team now, Berge actually gets into the lineup, and Marmouche takes that starting striker spot. We've got 5 picks left though, and quite a few big nations still left. Oh, we start off with Croatia. Kind of feel like they don't really have many underrated players anymore. World Cup finalists in 2018, semi-finalists in 22. But I guess I will go with Mateo Kovacic. I do feel like he never got the credit he deserved for how good of a player he was. And yo, Kovacic is a decent pick. With that, our midfield is looking really sorted with him and Elliot Anderson. We've still got 4 picks. And of course, we had to get Argentina. Now, it is going to be hard to pick an underrated player from the current world champions. But I do have a controversial one. Get ready for this. Lautaro Martinez. I do get that he misses a lot of sitters, especially for Argentina. For Inter, he's brilliant. Got them to Champions League finals, won multiple Serie A's. But I think even for Argentina, he's been really good. Especially recently in the Copa America final where he scored the winner. Despite that, I see a lot of fans calling him the next Gonzalo Higuain. I mean, like, nah. Lautaro is way better than that, bro. For me, he is definitely underrated. Now, after Lautaro, looks like we're gonna have to pick a Moroccan player. And again, for me, this one's super easy. It's gotta be Brahim Diaz. That man always just sits on the bench of Real Madrid, but when called upon for Morocco, bro just turns into the Moroccan Messi. I feel like after this World Cup, he should leave Real Madrid, but as I know he's a baller, we're gonna go with him. Now, I changed formation to put in Lautaro as well as Brahim, and bro, this team is starting to look serious. I think these underrated boys might be able to do a madness and win the World Cup. Still got a couple of more picks though. Okay, I just want Spain or Brazil. Just don't give me South Korea. Perfect, boys. We do get Spain. It's kind of hard to pick an underrated player from a nation that's been touted as the favorites for the World Cup, but I guess we can go for a player that hasn't been picked for the Spain squad. Alejandro Balde. Bro, whenever he plays for Barcelona, I feel he's so electric, but he can't get a look in for Spain, probably because they've got the likes of Cucurella and Grimaldo, but I genuinely feel like Balde is a better player, especially when he's fit. And yo, Balde actually improves our left back spot really nicely. We've got 1 spot left. And this better be Brazil. It just had to. It just had to be Brazil. And for me, this one is absolutely clear. It's not going to be Vinny, Neymar, or any of these superstars, but instead, Lucas Paqueta. I feel this man's reputation has been damaged so much because of all his gambling stuff. But come on, guys. You can even see it on the pitch when he plays for Brazil. He is so important. A proper baller with a really good left foot. And just like that, boys, our underrated World Cup team is complete. I just realized they only picked 1 goalkeeper, so hopefully Kobel doesn't get injured. But let's see how far this team can go. Oh no, I shouldn't have put this underrated team into Haiti. Because my god, is this group difficult. Brazil, Morocco, and Scotland. We might get grouped, and then these underrated players are going to be called frauds. You know what? Lautaro Martinez up top, Luis Diaz, solid keeper in Kobel. I think we might be able to get a point. Well, no, Brazil do beat us, and Lautaro, man, come on. I just called you underrated. You can't be missing penalties like that. Okay, you'd expect this team to win against Scotland at the very least. And that's exactly what happens. Lautaro this time did score. Now, as long as we get a point against Morocco, we should be through. Instead, we get a solid win with Havertz scoring. Fair play. By the way, what is this luck, bro? Cherky got injured during this World Cup, so he's gonna be gone. Well, I guess Lucas Paqueta comes in. And looks like we've drawn Ecuador in the round of 32. I'd still say we should be able to beat them. We'll take it. Through we go to the next round. And next up, it's Sweden in the round of 16. It is starting to feel like we could go on a proper run, and that's exactly what we're doing. Brahim Diaz scores. I do feel like quarterfinals is very respectable for our underrated team, and it's Morocco we're facing. We did beat them in the group stages. Can we beat them again? Oh, no, we can't. I guess they do get their revenge. But you know what? For our underrated team, I think quarterfinals is a solid finish. Let me know in the comments who you think is the most underrated player in football. And also, if you enjoyed this video, watch me build my team using World Cup kits. Click here.